Hi there, it's Linda here. Thanks for joining me today as I play with these sweet Lawn Fawn goodies. I did change my mind about the For You Dear stamp set, but I am playing with the gorgeous Lawn Fawn Large Wreath, which I absolutely fell in love with. So first up, you'll see I'm creating my watercoloured panel that I'll be cutting the wreath pieces out of. So I've got my Brusho powders and I'm using emerald green and leaf green, a combination of the two. So it's just a matter of wetting my Canson cold press watercolour card first and then sprinkling on the Brusho powders. I use my little pokey tool just when the nozzle gets a bit blocked up and there's not enough powder coming out, but basically it's just a matter of sprinkling on, waiting a little while, see what the colours do, see what the powders do, see how they merge and mix, grabbing my water, spraying again as you see me doing there, and then I decide to get a bit more aggressive with it and I'm going to tilt it and make those colours blend a lot more than they were. So adding a bit more of the emerald green at this stage, which has those bluey tints in it that you see, and then back to the leaf green, which has more of the yellow tints. And eventually my piece ends up looking quite nice and green and mottly with darker tints and some lighter yellow tints in it as well. And then I've got a beautiful watercoloured piece to cut my wreath leaves from. So there you go. It turned out to be quite a beautiful piece in the end, even though you do go through stages where you think, whoa, what are these Brusho powders going to give me? But I'm just letting that dry well and truly while I cover my card front with this beautiful red piece from that Doodlebug Christmas paper pack that you saw me show you there. And then I'm adding a wonky stitched rectangle piece above that, and that will be the base for my wreath and all the other little elements. So just using the die there to cut the little leafy pieces that will go together to form the wreath, and I end up cutting maybe 16 little wreath pieces, of which I think I use about 12. So as you can see, this round circular stitched piece is also part of the die, and it's the base that you stick all your first leaves on. So I was just getting an idea of how it all went together there, and now I'm putting a little bit of liquid glue at the end of each leaf, leaving the other parts all loose and free to stick up. And I work my way around the circle with the leaves sort of hanging on the middle, inside the middle part of the circle a little bit, and then as I go around the second time I'm making those leaves sit out a little bit wider from the ring itself, if that makes sense. So working my way around, laying these down, sticking the end, poking little bits in where I want them to sit and adding a little bit more glue. I don't, at times I'll add a little bit more glue just to stick something down exactly where I wanted it, but I'm trying to leave it fairly free and natural. I don't want it to look too structured, if you know what I mean. So I'm quite happy with that. It's quite lovely, it's quite dimensional. Well, it's certainly not going to be a flat card that fits easily in the mail. This will probably be one that I'll give to a family member and hand deliver it myself. So back to the Doodlebug paper pack again, and I'm using a little tiny Santa picture here on this particular 6x6 piece, and that's going to sit behind my little wreath. I just thought he was so cute. I'm going to round the corners off so they don't poke out from behind the wreath, and that little fella will sit behind my wreath. Now I've got a Merry Christmas gold die cut at the bottom of my card there, but I end up not using that one. I just felt, it wasn't exactly the look I was going for. It is a gorgeous little die, from Impression Obsession, if you are wondering, but I end up going with this Hero Arts Merry Christmas to You stamp that you see there. I've placed it in my MISTI, made sure it's all straight, and I'm inking it up with Altenew Crimson ink, and I just like that much more modern look to go with my wreath and my little Santa today. So placing them down, of course they've been popped up on foam tape, and now I'm cutting lots of the little berries from this glittery red cardstock, and I'll be adding them in little groups of 3 around my wreath. Right, well, I've die cut all the pieces to make the sweet little bow that can go on the top or the bottom of your wreath, so I'm just gently folding that and curving that into its shape, adding some liquid glue, which is a little bit fiddly. I probably should have used my tweezers here just to sort of hold everything in place, but eventually, after a bit of fumbling and fiddling, I get there, and I certainly do end up with a very sweet little red bow in the end, which I can adhere at the top of the wreath. On goes my bow with some liquid adhesive, and same for the glittering, glistening red berries, and my card is finished.